There is an animal that was already alive 500 years ago, before the first telescope, before Shakespeare wrote a single word. It survived in the cold and the dark for 5 entire centuries, outliving kings, empires, and generations beyond counting. And then it was killed by accident by the very scientists who would later discover how old it truly was. It is the oldest creature on this list, but it is far from the only one that has been alive for hundreds of years. We think of a long life as 80 years, maybe 90, a century if we are very lucky. But scattered across the planet, hidden in the deep oceans and on forgotten islands, there are animals alive right now that were born before your country existed. These are creatures that live for centuries, and we are counting down to the oldest single animal ever discovered. Number 10, the red sea urchin. It looks like nothing more than a spiny ball stuck to a rock. Simple, almost lifeless. But this small creature can live for over 100 years, and some are believed to reach close to 200. And here's the strangest part. As it ages, it shows almost no signs of getting older at all. A 100-year-old urchin can be just as healthy and just as capable of breeding as a young one. It does not seem to weaken with time the way almost every other animal does. It simply keeps going. Number 9, the lobster. You may have heard that lobsters are immortal, that they can live forever. That is not quite true, and the real story is more interesting. Lobsters never really stop growing, and unlike us, their bodies barely show the damage of aging. Some have lived well over 100 years, growing larger and larger the entire time, but they are not immortal. As a lobster grows enormous, the act of shedding its shell to grow again becomes harder and harder, until one day, the effort to keep growing is what finally kills it. It is not old age that takes the lobster, it is the cost of never stopping. Number 8, the rough-eye rockfish. It looks like an ordinary fish you might see at any market, but this is one of the longest living fish in the entire ocean. Some have been found to be more than 200 years old. That means a single rough-eye rockfish swimming in the deep today could have been born before the invention of the light bulb, before the first photograph, before the modern world even began to take shape. It has simply been drifting through the cold, dark water quietly for 2 centuries. Number 7, the giant tortoise. These gentle giants are famous for their long lives, but the reality is more astonishing than most people realize. On a remote island, there lives a giant tortoise named Jonathan, who is believed to have hatched around the year 1832. That makes him almost 200 years old and the oldest known land animal alive on Earth today. He was already an adult before the telephone was invented. He has lived through the rise and fall of entire empires, and he is still here, slowly grazing as the modern world rushes on around him. Number 6, the freshwater pearl mussel. Hidden at the bottom of cold, clean rivers, this unremarkable-looking shellfish is one of the longest living animals on the planet. Some individuals have lived for more than 250 years. The secret to their long lives appears to be their incredibly slow metabolism. Everything about them happens slowly. They grow slowly. They age slowly. Time itself seems to move differently for them. A mussel resting in a river today may have been alive when that river first appeared on a map. Number 5, the deep sea tubeworm. On the floor of the deep ocean, in total darkness, grow strange colonies of tubeworms. They do not chase food, they barely move at all, and they may be among the longest living animals on Earth. Some of these tubeworms are estimated to live for over 250 years, and possibly far longer. In a world with no sunlight, no seasons, and almost no change, there is very little to age them. They simply exist, in the cold and the silence, for centuries, in a place no human eye was ever meant to see. Number 4, the bowhead whale. This Arctic giant is the longest living mammal on the planet. Bowhead whales are believed to live for more than 200 years, far longer than any human ever could. And we know this in an extraordinary way. Hunters have found old harpoon tips made of stone and ivory buried in the bodies of living whales, weapons that had not been used in well over a century. The whales had been struck long ago, survived, and simply kept swimming for another 100 years. Some bowheads alive today were already swimming these icy waters before your great-great-grandparents were born. Number 3, the Greenland shark. This is the longest living animal with a backbone on the entire planet. Greenland sharks drift slowly through the freezing deep, and they live for an almost unbelievable length of time. Studies suggest they can survive for at least 270 years, and possibly as long as 500. They live so slowly that they may not even be ready to have young until they are around 150 years old. 150 years just to reach adulthood. A Greenland shark swimming in the dark today could have been born centuries ago, back when sailing ships still ruled the seas. A living shadow from another age. Number 2, the black coral. Everything we have shown you so far is young compared to this. Deep beneath the ocean's surface, certain black corals have been found to be over 4,000 years old. They were alive when the Great Pyramids were being built. But here is the catch, and it is what makes number 1 so special. A coral is not a single creature. It is a colony made of countless tiny animals living and dying together, building on the skeletons of those that came before. So while the colony is ancient beyond imagination, no single animal within it has lived that long. Which raises the real question: what is the oldest individual animal ever found that lived its entire centuries-long life as one single creature? And number 1, the animal we began with, the oldest single creature ever discovered. It is an ocean quahog clam, and to look at it, you would walk straight past it, just a plain, dark shell, sitting in the mud at the bottom of the sea. But when scientists pulled one particular clam from the cold waters near Iceland and counted the growth rings layered in its shell like the rings of a tree, they found something staggering. This single clam was 507 years old. It had been alive since around the year 1500. It was already growing when the Ming dynasty ruled China, which is exactly why scientists later nicknamed it Ming. And here is the tragedy. The clam did not survive being collected. It was one of hundreds dredged from the seafloor and frozen for research, and it died in the process long before anyone realized what they were holding. Only afterward, by counting the rings layered in its shell, did the scientists understand the truth. They had found the oldest individual animal ever discovered, and they had already killed it. While we live our brief, fast lives, these creatures move through time on a scale we can barely imagine. Centuries pass for them the way years pass for us. They were here long before us, and many of them will still be here long after we are gone. But age is only one way nature breaks the rules, because some animals do not just live longer than everything else. They grow so massive that they barely seem possible at all. And the largest creatures that have ever lived are a story for another time.